So, I know Jiraba, cold brew method, eh? Kakamera is a kind of take over. But I did over this climate, eh? So, Jiraba will get the first switch. Hold on. No, the second one. Aha, there. Yeah. So, so we have what we call the cold brew method. But basically, this is a process through which water is released at a slow pace. Remember, when you're using cold brew, a cold brew method, we use cold water. But this cold water, in this case, we use the what? We use the mixture or the blend of cold water and ice. And the ratios are going to be different, and the recipe is going to be what? Different. Look at the espresso twagamba, it is a recipe where we use 1 to 2. Okay? Name craft brew twagamba tukozesa 1 to 15. You remember that? The basics. Naye ate mu cold brew tusobola n'okukozesa 1 to 10 or 1 to 12. Reason being that a cold brew is going to take much time to extract out the liquor that we need. Okay? And when it extracts out that liquor, the coffee has to be high. Or the ratio of the water to coffee, it's going to be different, like the one when we're using hot water. Because with the hot water, it is a process that it's a fast process. Okay? You quicken the process. But when you use the cold water, the process slows down. Whereby we're going to even look at the time. If a V60 takes between 2 to 3 minutes, a chemix takes between 3 to 5 minutes, the cold brew is going to take between 12 to 24 hours. That's the difference. 12 to 24 hours. Okay? But I'm going to demonstrate it to you and see. I'm going to run a siphon here for. So, two different apparatuses. One apparatus is simple process. Drip, cold brew, drip, tower. Okay? It's a tower. So, we have different chambers. Okay? We are going to first draw the bottom maker. Okay? When we draw the bottom maker, we must have the middle maker. But the middle maker also points into the what? Into the bottom maker. Okay? And after that, we must have what? An upper baker. But even the upper baker does what? Directs the water direct into the middle baker. I think let me remove this one to get enough space. Into the middle baker. Let me just write it. Cold drip method. So this is the upper baker. So all this tower is enclosed. It is what? Enclosed onto one chamber. Now on another decker, a bed decker, it has stands through which the first bed, the second bed, and the third bed. This is what happens here. Okay? And in this baker, the bottom baker sits on its plate. The middle baker sits on its plate also. Okay? But it has a hole through which this has to pass through for this. Then even this one, it has its bed, it's up. Why is it up? Because it has a circle. Chineno mwechitula. Okay? It has a circle where the upper baker sits. And the upper baker here has holders. For example, like you say, saucepan. Okay, it comes, then it goes down. So that's how it's built. So these clips are held by the what? By this wood, okay? Or the seat, where the coffee, where the upper baker sits. Now, we are going to allocate their names. This is the upper baker. This is the middle baker. And this is the bottom baker. So, what are the purposes of each? First thing you need to understand is the upper baker must be of the same volume with the bottom what? Baker. Do you get it? Whereby, if the upper baker holds or it can consume 3,000 mils of water, okay? That basically means even the bottom baker must hold 3,000 mils. Because what comes from up,
it's going to go down.
This one is okay.
And it's a road.
Yeah, it's a road. Okay. So, the purpose of this upper baker, it has allocations. This is 500 from 0, okay, mils to 500 mils to 1,000 mils, 1,500 mils, 2,000 up to 3,000. Okay? But this one won't have allocations, but it depends on the tower that you're using. They have different towers. There is Tiamo there. No, none of our cars. Cars are different. Toyota, Mazda, different what? That's what happens here. So, the purpose of the upper baker, it must hold water and ice. Water and what? And ice. But there is a ratio that must be followed. The basic ratio is going to be 1:1. The amount of water is equivalent to the amount of ice. Remember, ice is just solid water. Solid water. It is going to melt. Now, the amount of ice depends on the weather you are in. If it's winter, you can put less ice. But if it's summer, you're going to put much ice. Because the beverage has to be brewed with cold water. With cold water. Okay? So, this is a 3,000 mils. The basic one is 1:1 ratio. If it's 3,000 mils, I'll first pour water halfway. Many people make a mistake. They first put ice, then they do what? Water last. But if you put water, it's going to help you understand what? The ice ratio. Because you're going to just add the ice as it increases, So, when you put cold water, this is a cold water. Then, I'm going to add 3,000 mils of ice. You get my point? 3,000 mils of ice cubes. A Julie pack of 3,000 mils. Now, the funny thing is that this thing, tegenda kuleta bulesi mazi directly. We have a regulator. There is going to be a tab.
First wait.
Hati kati ya amazi ntademu 1,500 ne ice nezijusawo paka 3,000. So 1,500, 1,500. That is a ratio of 1:1. You get it? So, this is a tap that has to regulate our water. Okay? So, we are going to see the purpose of the tap later. Now, the middle baker, it has a filter here. Sometimes it's metallic, sometimes it's cloth. But when you're buying it, it is metallic what? Metallic filter. Okay? What is the purpose of the filter? It's to stop the coffee grounds from going into our bottom baker. Many people call this a decanter because coffee sits and it concentrates from there. Decanters, tusikosanyo wines, different things. Okay. Now, after this, tugenda kuteekamu coffee waffe. Remember, this coffee has to be measured. How? If we have 3,000 mils, okay, we are going. If we are, it depends on the kind of coffee you're going to use. A medium roast, sorry, a light roast will lead you to adding, will lead you to using a less ratio because you're looking for something strong. Cold brews are normally strong. A medium roast, you'll use a standard ratio. And the dark roast, you have to increase on the level of what? Of water. So, we're going to use a ratio. Basically, it is between 1 to 8 to, let me say, 12. But the standard, most people will use 1 to 10 ratio. 1 gram of coffee consumes how many grams of water? 10. Okay? But it depends on how strong the coffee is.
You want to tell me whether you are
Cold brews. Okay? So, together quarter, how do we get the amount of coffee? We already have the water. Together quarter 3,000 divided by 10. That basically we have 300 grams of coffee. So together take up model. When you have the water, divide by the ratio. When you have the coffee, multiply by the ratio to get the amount of water. You get my point? So after that, now this is our what? Our coffee grounds. On top of the coffee grounds, make sure you put a paper what? This is a paper filter. Instead of single to filter here, AeroPress. This one. Katika neno kutuza ku coffee waffe waguru. Do you know the reason as to why? We put this paper filter here because if this water on the tap, in most cases, it's very sharp. Okay? If you allow this water to come straight, it is going to just create a line through which we call that channeling. And this side no water, this side no water. You get my point? So it's going to just create a path and it's going straight. But when you put this paper filter, okay? When you put it on top of the coffee, the water will pour onto the paper filter and it will splash in different angles. You get my point? It will splash in different angles. But remember, before putting this paper filter, pre-wet it first. First pour hot water on top, so that this paper filter doesn't take the pepper taste into the coffee. You get my point? So after that, at paper filter, we've seen the coffee grounds. Now this is waiting for the brew. How does the brew come in? I can clear off this. How does the brew come in? This step, we have what we call pre-wetting or pre-infusion. Okay? The purpose of the pre-infusion, you're going to first open this tap at a high speed. For how many seconds? For 45 seconds. Why do we open this water very fast? Because when this water enters the coffee at first point, it's not going to come straight because you have the paper filter here at all. It will pour on the paper filter, then it will quickly rush into all the coffee grounds. We first soak them to allow also a slow degassing process. Because when you're using cold water, there's going to be degassing, but at a slow pace. Degassing whereby coffee loses carbon dioxide. Okay? At a slow pace. Then, when you open, quickly open the tap. Okay? So, when you open, always remember the three things I tell you when you are brewing coffee. We have the weight, we have the time, and we have the temperature. No, that is the temperature. When a beverage is cold, it must be negatives. You know that? Freezers are, when you see a freezer, it is always in negatives. Either 0 degrees or negatives. That is for cold. But in hot, it has to be positives. Okay? So every beverage has a temperature. Now when it comes to time, I told you time, this beverage is brewed for 12 to 24 hours. Okay? So when you open the tap, start immediately with the time until it reaches 45 seconds. When it reaches 45 seconds, now reduce the water flow. Because why does it brew for this long? Per drip, per drop must equate to 1 second. Do you get the point? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That is how long it does what? That's why it takes this much time. Okay? Sometimes you might even leave it and go home. Okay? So, after that, drip. So, after this coffee, consuming all the water. Per drip here for 1 second will be per drip here for 1 second. What happens here is what happens here. If you see this is fast, just know you need to adjust and reduce this. Okay? But if it's very slow, adjust. But sometimes you also have to check this middle baker. Sometimes there is coffee that doesn't do what? Get to the water because there is uneven balance. That's why when you put coffee in the middle baker, make sure you distribute it evenly, like it's a flat surface. And don't use very fine grains, together 2 milliliter grain sizes. Okay? So, after looking at that, the dripping, what you need to understand, the densities are different. Always it all. The longer the time, the lesser the water, and the more the ice dissolves. But the weight of the ice, the more it dissolves, the weight is reducing. Okay? And once the weight reduces, remember the pace of the water that comes out is going to reduce also. Okay? Always talk the pressure, the force that pushes, reduces. Okay? So when it reduces, what is going to happen? After 2 hours, check. Whatever the guess, sometimes you'll find when it has even stopped. Come and adjust. Come and adjust. That's why if we are working on shifts, me I check on it. When I go, you the next barista, you must also make sure that you check until the water is finished. Or else you can even leave it. You leave it and make mistakes. Don't allow this coffee to get dry. Okay? So it's a slow infusion process. So, once this decanter finalizes, gets all the liqueur that we're looking for. Now this is the brew. Good? Coffee. Once it gets all the brew, within the given time, get this brew, keep in fridge for 3 days before serving. You get my point? You have to keep it for 3 days. Why? It has to mature. It is like wine. The longer you keep the wine, the more it ages and the more expensive it is. That's why a wine that was made or brewed in 18 or 1700, it's very, very expensive than the wine that was brewed in 2000. Because there are those characters that come in, the beautiful characters. Once you drink it, immediately after, it's not going to be good. It's going to be light. So, when we keep it for those 3 days, it's going to mature. The body is going to increase. The creamy factors are going to increase. The flavors are going to come out because we used cold water. Sometimes it can even taste winery, sometimes woody, depending on the nature of the coffee you're using. If it has fruits, you feel the fruits after. Because you can even keep it for 1 month, 1 year, and drink it. As long as it's in a safe place. Because after brewing, immediately take it to the fridge. Once you leave it here, it will start developing molds. You know molds? Maybe to be a quarter, say, they're white. So immediately you have to take it to the fridge. Then after, clean this thoroughly. I've worked with very many people now. For them, they just get this, pass water and take. Remember, this coffee has oils. So if you just wash it quick and keep, when I look at it, I'm going to see the oils. And if I add other coffee, these oils are going to blend with the other coffee. And it's going to give me something else. Different characteristics. You get my point? So, this is very, very complicated and one has to be very, very keen. Not every coffee is going to be brewed for 12 hours. It can be 13, 14. That's why we put a range between 12 to 24 hours. But if it's below, that basically means we've gone for under extraction. You remember those concepts. If it's above, that is over. So, the first day, you're the barista. Taste the coffee. Second day, taste the coffee. Third day, taste the coffee. Fourth day, taste the coffee. Sixth day, seventh day, 1 week. Why am I telling you that? Because it's you who understands the coffee you're serving. It's you to know when you're supposed to serve this coffee to your clients. Sometimes this coffee will be nice at given days. It can even be past 3 days. You get my point? So, the customer loves the beverage if you love it, the taster. However much we have different palates. But it's you who masterminds for the client. Okay? So, this is the cold brew. This is now in a theory. Okay? Do you have any question? You can do that. I hope someday we'll something's okay. Laugh with each other through these days. So,